Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Good evening and welcome back to the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast, episode 10. We've come a long way, but we're already in double figures. This is unbelievable. Tonight, obviously, I am joined by my ever-present co-host, Adam. Adam, how are you?
I am, well, tired, very tired. It's been a long, exhausting week, as we'll delve into in a minute. I'm finally back home. After a trip abroad, which again we're going to go into, and yes, looking forward to sort of giving a breakdown of the shenanigans that have happened over the channel.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's unbelievable game, but I want to give a massive shout out to that Arsenal Women's podcast who did give us a shout out. Well, more so Adam than the rest of us. Give us a shout on the podcast. It was really appreciated, and thank you for your kind words.
Absolutely. Damien, so Damien Origa.
I'm so sorry, Damien. I do apologise. I have actually got this written down. This is so embarrassing.
So, Dame, I got to say, because I know I've met him, he's a lovely chap. He not only is he a brilliant percussionist and drummer, he's a massive Arsenal fan, and he's a massive Arsenal Women's fan. Go check out that Arsenal Women podcast, where he just talks, from the heart about what he feels about the women and what's been happening with them. So if you are exhausted and tired of hearing me and Lottie drone on about the Arsenal women, and you want that change of voice on your jogging playlist every morning, check him out.
They might enjoy our dulcet tones. You never know.
But yes, do check him out, and it's on the usual place you get podcasts. Would thoroughly recommend.
No, definitely. I know I have been an Apple listener for maybe about a year now. So yeah, definitely recommend his podcast. Absolutely amazing. But anyway, back to the news. Back around the club, the under-16 squad are invincible. They've played 14 games, 11 wins and 3 draws, 0 losses. So it must run in the blood through the club, which I love to see. So well done, girls. Kelly Smith is back training the under-21s. How exciting is that, Adam?
That is massive. So I should actually just add on to that. When we trip abroad, I read Alex Scott's book.
Ooh.
I read it. It was a long flight. I needed something to pass the time, and I've got it.
To be fair, I did tell you off for not reading it.
Yes, well, in fairness, there's a few books I need to read, but this is relevant to your Kelly Smith point. And it was all about Alex Scott and her time at Arsenal. It's honestly, firstly, it's an amazing read for anybody who is suffering with mental health or has suffered with parents, especially her father was an alcoholic, for example, was abusive. There's a lot of pain, but there's a lot of happiness in there as well. And I do thoroughly recommend reading it. But one of the really interesting chapters which talks about Kelly Smith and what Kelly Smith was in her life. And I'm so proud to see her now coaching our younger generation of players coming through, because Kelly had demons of her own, which is in the book. She was injured a lot of times. She had very bad problems with alcohol, but she was one of the most talented players we had. I mean, she's one of the reasons. She was sort of my anchor in women's football, because she was the superstar. She'd be compared to the David Beckham. You think of what David Beckham was when we were young watching football, which she was the equivalent on the women's side. And she was just a level above pretty much everyone else on the pitch. It's why she went to America twice. She was that good. And the knowledge, the experience, the talent that she has, being able to impart onto the girls the wisdom, because she's made mistakes and she won't want those players to make the same mistakes in their lives. It's invaluable. So they're the academy are very, very, very lucky to have her. It's great to have her back in the coaching team, and hopefully we the fruits of her knowledge that she imparts will be seen in a few years' time when they come through.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, her interview. She went on to talk like her little like 2-3 minute video off Arsenal. She went on this end as long as she can remember. Arsenal Academy's always been there, and the women, the girls' academy has been there since Vic brought the girls' team to life, so to speak. But I think the really positive thing that's come out of this, I remember in Alex Scott's book, she was saying that, we only used to train twice a week, but they are now training 4 times a week. And that is the difference of how time's progressed. And for me, that's what our players need, especially if they're going to break into this first team. I mean, we've seen sort of snippets of Michelle Ajimayang. I think I pronounced that right. I hope so.
Michelle Ajimayang, yeah. She hasn't been with us long, but she's already scored a goal and she already has her own chance. So she is already a firm fan favourite and much loved.
No, definitely. And she's only 16, which is absolutely incredible. I'm sure there's so much more great stuff to come from her. No pressure though.
No pressure.
I'm not one of those people who piles the pressure on her, but the pressure is there because we know who she is.
Yeah.
And I hope she won't buckle. I hope she will thrive on it. So, because that's what we like to see. Before I forget, one little pre-warning to our listeners at the moment: the Merseyside derby is currently live. Adam will be pausing us mid-sentence to see if when a goal goes in to let us know what is going on, because the WSL weekend has started on a Friday night tonight.
I know it's like a Premier League week, isn't it? It's strange,
yeah,
but it's like it's a Premier League all of a sudden. You know, the men have gone away to play in Italy, and we should say congratulations for Harry Kane for actually be able to score a penalty when it didn't really matter. But we will move on from that. You know, well, yeah.
Oh dear.
But whilst they're away on their shenanigans in Europe, the women are indeed playing. It's Merseyside derby, a terrific event. Matt is in his absence. He is at the game as we speak, and obviously we hope he's having a great time. Everton are currently leading 1-0, so fingers crossed the quality continues. But yes, what a weekend it's going to be.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a very, very good weekend. I mean, Everton are already approaching half time, so we better get our skates on in case there's anything else. Some other good news which we got from press conference earlier. Steph Catley is wonderful. She's going to be back.
Yes.
Come after the international break, which is really exciting. She will not be she shouldn't be going up for international duty with Australia, which is absolutely brilliant. Actually, speaking of Australia, the FIFA rankings were released. And they have cracked the top 10.
Australia have?
And yes, they have. They cracked the top 10
wow.
officially as of this morning. England still remain in 4th. Podium belongs to the USA, closely followed by USA, Germany, and Sweden, and then England, which is what I expect the top 4 to look like at this stage. But
I'm amazed Sweden are 3rd, considering the hammering that we dished out to them. They didn't exactly set Euro 2022 alight. I'm obviously not surprised USA, but I'm surprised the Australians have only just broken in, because they are a team loaded with talent. When you think of the likes
100%.
of Ford, Catley, Kerr, Lydia Williamson, Kennedy.
Yeah. They've moved up 2 spaces since the last ranking. So, I mean, Brazil hasn't moved, Netherlands hasn't moved, Spain hasn't moved from 7 to 9. Then you've got Canada in 6th.
Yeah.
France in 5th. And we're ahead of France in 4th.
Well, yes, because we're
and then the top 3 remain unchanged.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting watching the French and Spanish positions, because they are 2 teams that are in crisis for reasons beyond the players' control, which is very sad to see. So, yes, that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in the tournament. But, yes, fourth best team in the world. I'd probably say 3rd. But I could take 4th. That's a pretty good achievement. You know, we're considering wind back 10, 20 years where you remember where our sport was. You know, that's not bad company to be with.
Oh no, definitely. And if you think about it, the Swedish, the Germans, and the Americans are miles ahead of us, especially the USA, because the amount of time and money they invest in their women's team. I mean, they don't win World Cups for no reason.
Well, this is another thing in the Alex Scott book. She talks about it when she goes over to Boston, and it's that mentality, and
Yes.
and she talks about the winning mentality and the team mentality. And when she comes back to England, the at the time, we were talking like sort of 2011, 2012. The difference when she come back home was so stark. Now we have obviously evolved since then, and we are closing in on them. I mean, we did beat them at Wembley, which just shouldn't be forgotten. So
100%.
the gap is closing.
It is a new breed of players coming through, and the game is changing, and they'll have to adapt. From what I saw of that game, they need to adapt a bit, especially if they're going to be challenging for the World Cup. As we know, it's Rapinoe's last World Cup, which is really sad.
It's the end of an era.
Yeah, it is. It is really sad. I mean, she's brilliant. Oh, Liverpool have equalised in the 40th minute.
Oh,
I'm just waiting to see who scored. Just bear with me. It's just popped up on my screen.
It looks like it's. It's just come through on mine, but it doesn't say who it is yet. But yes, there has been an equaliser.
Yeah, there has been an equaliser. We'll have an update for you guys in a second on that. But yeah, no, it is end of an era for Rapinoe, and it's kind of sad because she has been a trailblazer through everything. I've heard stories of people throwing coins at her and all that kind of stuff just because she was a female footballer, and it's kind of sad what she's had to go through to get.
I mean, players like her, players like Wambach, who's obviously now retired. Players like
Stengel. It was Stengel that scored.
Stengel.
Kate
Stengel. Okay, yeah, iconic players like her, Alex Morgan, sort of Carly Lloyd, all those sort of players. Hope so, another one. They were the players. I remember when England used to go out to the USA in tournaments. They were just these titans. They were immortal. They were leagues beyond what we could play. Yes, it was great that we could get maybe a win against Argentina. Maybe we could scrape a draw for luck against Germany. But you come to USA and you were beaten before you got stepped on the pitch. They were just that good, and they were like they were what Arsenal were in the league. Back in 2006, 2007. They were set the marker down. It's only now that the other nations are catching up. What's going to be interesting with the USA is when Rapinoe departs and these other players departs, like the your likes of Alex Morgan. It's whether the next wave of players can step up to what is an incredible mantle. You've got younger players. I think Rose Lavelle is one of the players very highly thought of. Obviously scored in the World Cup final, but then she came over to Manchester City and didn't really set the WSL alight for a year. So it's going to be fascinating. Hopefully, the USA sentimentality. I'd like them to go out with a final hurrah, but obviously as an England fan, I want them to lose. But it'll be interesting to see what happens to USA after this World Cup and whether they will still hold on to their number one ranking because, all eras must come to an end, and it'll be interesting to see if somebody else steps into their shoes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the generational talent that's going to come through now, I'm really excited to see what the future holds, if I'm honest with you. I mean, you've got the names of old, but it's time to sort of move on. As much as we enjoy watching them play and stuff, it's maybe just time to step down and let someone else have the spotlight. I know that sounds really harsh, but it's just how time goes, unfortunately.
Yep.
But let's get on to what we're really here for, and that's the Arsenal Bayern Munich game. Yes. Champions League quarterfinal. There are 20,000 people there. Matt and Adam were two of those 20,000 people. Matt, how was your trip to Germany?
Well, I want to start on that statistic because there was a bit of an eyebrow raise because it's one of those things like there was exactly 20,000 people in the stadium. I mean, it seemed too beautiful to be a coincidence. So like, I thought, anyway, we that's what the numbers say. I'm not saying they're lying. We'll just have to take it at face value. There are indeed 20,000 stadium, but it did create a bit of a laugh in the stadium, and it was sort of one of the few laughs we sort of had because of the result. The experience of going over was absolutely first class, and we've done shout outs. I want to do another one. Massive shout out to the supporters club, to the red and white, the home and away. We got, I think it was 200, just over 200 fans in the stadium, and we were high up in the upper tier, right in the sort of corner, sort of mid-high corner.
You was in the cage.
No, but it's the thing, we weren't in the cage. So like when we did Juventus, we were pitch side, right up the front in the corner. In at Munich, they put us up on one of the higher tiers. We weren't even pitch side. We were in the heavens, shouting from above. So
that doesn't surprise me.
So
to be honest with you.
The view was great, but we didn't get that close sort of interaction with the fans like we had. Like I've experienced when I went to for the Ajax game and the Juventus game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a brilliant game of football and a brilliant advert for the Champions League. It was, I'd say the first half, I'd say it's 50-50. And I think the school of thought going into the game was that these were two teams evenly matched, which is sort of what you would expect at this level. I think back to last season, we went away to Wolfsburg, and I know there was obviously a thing with Leo Volta not being there, and that did hamper us. But the truth was that Wolfsburg, over the two legs, were better than us. We got a bit lucky thanks to Lotta in the home leg, and the second leg they just blew us away, and there was just no competition. We was just there to be rolled over. Completely different in Bayern Munich. We matched Bayern, and it was about a 50-50 first half. Bayern had a good first 5 minutes. We then had a good 20 minutes. Then Bayern came back in the second half and got that crucial goal, and it was right on our edge, right in front of us as well, which is very annoying. It was a very good goal. It was Schürrle with a very good header, out muscling Wienreuter in the air, and too much power, close range, and too much power for Manu to get a hand to it. So we were feeling a bit down after that, but the second half we were electric, and it was really good. One of the first, I'd say, really strong away performances. If you think about when we went away to Manchester City, we were absolutely rubbish and got absolutely played off the park. And we didn't get the goal that our play warranted for various reasons, which I'm sure we'll come on to. Some within Arsenal's control, some not within Arsenal's control, which I think we'll pick apart, and there's more to it. But I was really impressed with the way we played in the second half, that we kept a team like Bayern Munich, who, beat Barcelona at the Allianz Arena, or wherever it's. I don't know if it's at the Allianz or wherever they played their home games at the time, but they beat Barcelona on their own patch. They are a very good side. They're tearing up the Frauen-Bundesliga. They're only just behind Wolfsburg, who they play this weekend.
Yeah. Can you believe it? 4 weeks ago, they were 8 points behind Wolfsburg in the Frauen-Bundesliga.
Yeah.
And now if I remember rightly, I looked at the table earlier. They're right behind them.
Yeah.
And
and you can understand why.
Unbelievable.
They are loaded with talent. You've got Zedrasil, you've got Shirley, obviously got the goal. You've got Georgia Stanway, who came in with her customary
what
heavy duty
surprised me?
tackles.
She was very, very quiet that game. I was shocked about. I felt she was very quiet. She had maybe one shot that really sticks out in my mind from that game in the first half.
Yeah,
that went wide. Yeah. But she was very quiet, and that's not like Georgia Stanway. I was expecting some McCabe and Stanway beef like we normally have, served with a glass of wine, but we didn't see any of that.
No, and I think that to great credit, that is owes to the likes of Volti and Kim Little, who once Arsenal got it all sort of worked out, were able to contain Bayern and press and force turnovers and force mistakes and just keep the ball circulating back at them. I thought Caitlin Ford had a terrific game. She was very unlucky. She hit the post. Stina and Leah had balls cleared off the line. So there was an element of it felt throughout the whole game that the deck was stacked against Arsenal. And this is where I want to sort of come into it's a game of fine margins, because we knew it was so level that the teams were even. It was perfectly balanced, and it was just going to be what will give Bayern the edge, and it was fine margins. So we have to look at what they were, and I think the first one we have to look at is the referee. Now, I'm sort of splitting this one, because I thought the referee, I think we can all agree, was horrific. We all fought it in the ground. There was a moment about less than 5 minutes in where Leo Volti got crunched right in front of the referee. We saw it happen. It caused a turnover, and the referee just let it go. And from that moment on, we knew, okay, this is the way it's going to be. This is the way the game's going to pan out. We're not going to get the calls that maybe we think we want. And unfortunately, that was the case. There was a lot of moments. There was fouls that just didn't get given. And I can understand letting the game flow, but this felt very frustrating. There were some very bizarre calls. There's one that went viral of Freedom Morn in the first half. Well, there's a few. Okay. Well, firstly, and I always try and sympathise with the referee, because I feel if you believe that the referee is corrupt, but if you don't believe in the laws and the referee, then you might as well go home, because the laws have to be believed.
100%. But I mean, sorry, Adam, touching on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Damien has said on his podcast, there's complaining, and then there's over complaining to the point where it's toxic. I know I complain about the referees. I hold my hands up to it because I'll be honest with you, I was appalled by some of that. I mean, there should have been a penalty for us, but it was ignored. We've got VAR. Why is it not being used? Is it a case of the ref was obscured? Is it a case of, is the referee, I hate to say this, but are they qualified enough to do this? Or is it a case of the ref choosing not to see?
Well, there's a lot of
so
moments.
many variables to think about.
There was a lot of moments where it felt like the ref just didn't want to make the decision, which is very frustrating because, you know, if you make the decision it's wrong, VAR will flip it over. But by not making the decision, VAR is not going to make this. Well, we'll discuss later. It turns out it can on certain circumstances. But normally, VAR won't then make the decision for you. So the Caitlin Ford handball, we all saw it as a handball. I mean, from the you could see the arm move, and we were at the other end of the pitch, and we thought, "Oh, that looks a bit dodgy." But you could also make the argument, well, the ball's arms by her, close enough by her side. She's not gone to handle the ball. It's always hit her. Fair enough.
It's a case of, is it intentional, unintentional? And how well do you know this player? Is this player going to do, does this player do it on a regular basis? Because a player can deny, oh, it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, Willian. But which I saw in the hotel. Honestly, that was so funny. I was saying.
It's the case of unintentional. That was unintentional from where I was sitting back in London.
But the thing is, if the ref had given it, VAR wouldn't have flipped it over because the ref would have interpreted it as a deliberate, and VAR would have not been able to apply any evidence to say otherwise. So for me, it was the correct application of the rules, even though the outcome was a frustration on behalf. And because of this fine margins things, you need those breaks to go your way. Look at Wolfsburg, they got the breaks, which obviously we'll get to. The other one, the odd call, Frida Morner being called offside. Thankfully, it didn't result in us getting a goal chalked off. And that is the big thing. Also with the Frida offside, she was like not offside. There were like 2 or 3 players ahead. It was really bizarre that the ref called an offside. We thought it was like a goal kick call. So it's like a really, really bad decision. But the crucial thing is, as bad as the referee was, and as bad as I think the VAR was, no decision was made that meant that Bayern got a goal they shouldn't have got, that we had a goal chalked off that we should have got, and there were no crazy sort of red cards. So as frustrating as the refereeing performance was, and it was very frustrating, and I'm hoping at the Emirates we get a better deal, it wasn't the reason we lost the game. And I think the reason we simply lost the game is just pure ruthlessness. It's just that we had the chances, we had the balls cleared off the line, we just did not have that extra. We didn't get the luck, shall we say, in some of the finishes. Certainly there were a few scrambles. There was a questionable back pass. I've had sympathy because those things are scrambles. Anything can happen in the box. There was the issue of lack of goal line technology. Which was a bit of an alarm bell because in the second leg it is going to be in place. For some reason, Bayern decided not to have it, and it's raised a lot of eyebrows. Apparently, goal line technology is optional at this level, which quite frankly is wrong. It shouldn't be
optional at this level. The Champions League, as well as the WSL and all the primary leagues across Europe, should have it as standard. It's meant to be the elite. They're meant to be the elite leagues.
So what it should be, and
whereas you look at, say, levels 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you don't expect it to be there.
No.
Top 2.
Yeah. So because
2 is a push, but 1, yes.
So because the Champions League, the Women's Champions League states that you have to VAR in the knockout stages, it forces all the games to be played in the main stadiums, which is great stadiums, great spectacle. So logically, therefore, goal line technology is supposed to be compulsory. For some reason, it's not. For some reason, it's a decision that can be made by the clubs. Now, we're in a scary situation where both Jonas Eideveld and Emma Hayes actually agreed on this, which, I know.
That kind of freaks me. I saw the WSL videos. That freaks me out.
Exactly.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
He's right. And there's speech marks around it. And I'm like, Sky, please stop mixing your pot because we're all gonna go at each other because we do. Do you know what I mean? They don't like him, we don't like her, and it's just stop stirring the pot. But in a way, it's nice to see her agree with him for once.
It is. It is. It's nice for her to be correct. But it's. But the problem
is a matter of opinion.
Yes, I know. I'm doing a Sky and I'm stirring the pot. I do apologise. I'm such a wind-up merchant.
I'm not disagreeing with you, so don't you worry about that. I'm just trying to keep the peace.
But with goal line technology, it absolutely should be. If VAR is compulsory, so should goal line technology. And this nonsense that it can be choose, and it's also that clubs have to pay the bill for goal line technology. and it brings the game into disrepute, because it's unfair that one game will have a technology that another won't. So we had two cleared off the line. Now, taking my bias off, I thought they were both cleared off the line. I thought it was the second one where it's hooked from underneath the crossbar from Steena's head is an outstanding goal line clearance. There is a bit of a debate online. They thought it brushed the net. I think it's an optical illusion. I think it's a brilliant clearance off the line. Fair play to Bayern. You got back to it. The problem is obviously with goal line technology,
That was
not in place.
is it Kamagi?
Yeah.
The Japanese
Yes.
player? Yeah, she was the one who cleared it off the line. And I've actually managed to click that, and I've played it frame by frame.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with you. Although on the night I got very upset there was no VAR check. Very upset. But it's amazing what you can do when you have a couple of days to stop and think and actually look at things properly when you're not in heat of moment.
Exactly. And there was a debate. There was a GIF that went around. They thought, oh, it brushed the roof of the net. I think no, it didn't. It looks like it did, but it didn't. And the frustration is, I thought VAR might have got involved, because there was an incident way back in the league, the Premier League, when goal line technology actually failed, and there was talk of a VAR should have then been able to step in and check. But apparently with this, because goal line technology wasn't in place and it's actually not VAR's jurisdiction to check for it, it's a shame.
I think it's really how do I put this? Lucky that they've decided not to do this. I just hope Arsenal have opted to have it, because that would be super handy.
So, well, this is the irony will be that Arsenal have agreed to have goal line technology, and then Bayern will score a goal that will be given by goal line technology, and we'll all be fuming. But but that's not why we lost the game. Although those things went against us, the simple reason is we tried our best, but Ford, McCabe didn't take their chances. Palova came on. McCabe shifted left back. I thought that made us look a lot more threatening. We did a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff that we weren't doing in previous games. And I think that, and in defeat, I think that bodes well, because we're actually competing against really strong European teams, and we're competing against them away from home. And it was a really good advert for the competition. On another day, Arsenal make it 1-1 or 2-1. It just means that we've got to go to Emirates and score a goal, which is great, because I wouldn't want us clinging on for 0-0 at home. That would be rubbish.
But then we'd get the added extra time and possibly penalties. Which actually, if Manu Zinsberger could do penalties, I'd take that. After Aaron Ramsdale, I'm still a bit. Still got the old PTSD.
Well, Manu is good at.
I'm taking that back. I know she's good at that, but I'm having flashbacks to our last European knockout, and that wasn't fun.
I don't want to stay up late at the Emirates. I want to get away from there as soon as the game is gone. I don't want to stay up to midnight, because I'll be absolutely knackered. But it sets up very beautifully for the second leg. My opinion is,
they're only 1-0 ahead. So for me, that's not the end of the world. I thought, okay, not end of the world, end at full time. Yeah. It was an okayish goal, but
the goal we conceded, I wouldn't say it was a clanger I think back to Jen Beattie at home to Barcelona when it's a misplaced pass and the whole thing came undone.
It was crossed in from just outside the box.
It was a great goal. It was a great, well worked goal.
Yeah.
Veen Reuter got beaten in the air. That can happen, and it's just
Although I was a bit disappointed, I think Leah's reaction to it was a bit more hilarious. It was about a bit of a and a stomp, and it was kind of I noticed someone that is actually memed it. So I'm going to be absolutely memeing the hell out of that when over Twitter, of course. On subject
of memes, I should say I did get snapped in the stadium. They caught the picture, and I'm sorry, that screenshot I'm using to death, because that is so funny. It's such and it perfectly encapsulated my mood that at the end of the game. And if you haven't looked at my Twitter feed, it's down there somewhere, and it's very funny, and I will be using it a lot throughout the season. But the crucial thing was that I felt that going into the home leg, if we play like we did in the second half, where we just basically outplayed them, we'll win. It's all it comes down to. Again, it's fine margins. And if we actually take a chance, if we play like we did in the second half, play like that from the start, get an early goal, get the crowd behind us, then I think we can roll on. And it could be a memorable night at Emirates Stadium. Ticket sales are at 15,000 at the moment. There's still a bit more time. So I do urge anyone listening to this, please come along. Please come on. If we can get 30,000 in. At the moment, about 3 stand of the bottom tier are open. I think it's the clock end isn't open yet, but
No,
that'll
it isn't. It isn't because I've got tickets round in Block 7, which is up in the North Bank. So
the clock end will open as the allocation grows. So I've always said, please, people, come along. If you're an Arsenal fan, if you often go to these midweek night games for the Europa League, come along to this one. Give the team some support and help them get over the line. And there'll be plenty of songs to sing and cheer, and hopefully the players can do the same. I think it's going to be a very special night. It's beautifully poised. And yes, let's hope it can be something we can look back on as a memorable occasion. Certainly as memorable as my trip to Munich. And shout out to Munich. It's a beautiful city, and thoroughly recommend going. There's some with some nice, went to a beer hall, which is very nice. Even though I don't drink alcohol, the occasion was lovely. Yeah. And also, if you're over in Germany, try Apfelstrudel. You will not regret it.
Oh, I could have told you that before you went. I've been to the Allianz with the boys, and I've watched them lose 5-1 maybe twice. Second time I got a flight home that night. You know, that's stuff I do for this club. It's torture, but do you know what? The trip to the Allianz wasn't as bad as the boys, so I'm not gonna sit here and complain. But obviously, I'm going to quickly touch on the other Champions League games that actually happened. Because if Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, if we do win this tie on Wednesday night, we play Roma or Barcelona.
Wrong. If we win this tie, we play Wolfsburg or PSG.
Oh no, that's worse.
Well, no,
other way around because I'm pretty because Leon or Chelsea could play Roma or Barcelona. That's it.
Yeah.
Because I remember having a conversation with someone saying that Chelsea aren't going to cope with Barcelona without Kirby and without, is it Eriksen that's out at the moment?
Millie Bright limped off and Eriksen came
Millie
on
Bright. They're not going to cope at all. So they're not going to be going any further than that. I can see that coming already.
So I'll just quickly touch on because because the next day I didn't see the Roma Barcelona. Obviously, you saw the Roma Barcelona game, so you can get. And I saw bits of that game in a pub afterwards, and I thought Roma were very good in that game. They were. My prediction of a 4-0 win to Barcelona was way off, and I am so happy to be wrong.
Do you know what? I am very, very pleased that Roma did so well, but I don't know how they did not score towards the end. I was screaming my head off for them to score. I was like, what are you doing? If they had that extra few minutes, they would have got one. I'll be honest with you.
I saw one
to have 10 attempts on goal and 4 of them on target against Barcelona, and it's your first it's their first quarterfinal, am I right?
I think so.
Yeah, their first quarterfinal. That is absolutely incredible considering how many times we've been tanked by Barcelona. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean twice last season.
Let's pretend last season never happened. But Arsenal fans, you know what I mean. Yes. But Barcelona had 34 attempts. They got 34 attempts through, but only 10 were on target. But one...
Their keeper was incredible.
Definitely. She was absolutely on fire. I was so pleased for Roma. It was so good to see a full stadium. And I hope it was full because I couldn't see the upper tiers, but the lower tier... completely full. It was brilliant. Also, massive well done to Salma Parallelo. Scored her first Champions League goal at 19 years old.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Brilliant. So it was a really good game. Really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the second leg. I'm going to have to find myself a pub straight after. If it's after us, I'm going to have to check the fixtures again. I think
the Barca game will be first because we'll be the later. I'm pretty sure we're the later.
Oh yes,
fixture.
that's true.
That's
good. That's good. I will be booking some time off work to go make sure I go watch that game.
That will be one to watch. The 2 games I saw, so they were they were the next day, and I saw that in my hotel room the day after.
Yeah.
And based on how they've gone, as much as I want Roma to be the plucky underdog, I have to back the Barcelona horse because unfortunately Leon let us down and let us down very badly. And if you ever wanted to go to do one of our series and just our series, what is a typical Emma Hayes Chelsea performance against a big team? It would be score a wonder goal and defend deep for 90 minutes and see out the win, and that's exactly what she did.
Can we get the right terms in there? Score a wonder goal and park the bus. Because I'm sorry, but that is classic Chelsea.
It is, and that's exactly what they did. And they just defend deep, park the bus, and then when they get a chance, go along for Kerr and see if she can get a second or third goal. And as an Arsenal fan, I hate Chelsea as much as anybody else. Okay, so we're not here to fly the flag for Chelsea, but we have to. Credit's due. That goal from Wright. Well, firstly, the nutmeg from Cuthbert to create the chance, and then the way that Wrighton ran onto the ball first time and just pinged it round the keeper. Fair play. That is a
curler. Yeah. It was a work of art from them, but
work of art. But the frustration
doesn't mean we like Chelsea.
No, and the problem is Leon. I mean, we're talking about the USA team earlier and how they were sort of this immortal, invincible sort of titan. Well, that's what Leon have been in the Champions League for the last, I'd say, 10 years, and they look so vulnerable.
Like, if I say Champions League, the first women's team I think of on that list is Leon.
Yeah.
And then they're followed by Barcelona. Because Barcelona give me PTSD. Leon is at the top there. I mean, to beat them 5-1 in their own backyard, that's got to be our second best achievement of the season.
With the
the trophy.
The
trophy is something a bit more permanent, but for me, it's the second best achievement for the season.
100%.
I love it.
But I think what I thought it was when I saw that result when we beat them 5-1, I thought, this is a sign of where we're going. In retrospect, I also think that's also a sign of where Lyon actually are. They've only won 3 games in the Champions League this season out of 7 so far, because they drew home and away to Juve. They beat the bottom side Zurich, because everyone did. They beat them home and away, and they got a lucky win at the Emirates thanks to a very dodgy offside call.
Yeah, that was very offside from where I was sitting. Yeah, but I've got to say, Chelsea and PSG are the only teams that haven't been beaten.
In the Champions League
whole competition.
PSG have been beaten.
Have they? That's not the start I got off DAZN.
Well, they lost as we get into the next game. They lost at home to Wolfsburg.
So far,
up
until this point for PSG, Chelsea are still undefeated.
Yes,
that's the point, and that scares me.
That does scare me.
Barcelona, Lucy Bronze, I need you to do me a massive favour in the next round, please.
Lucy Bronze, Kira Walsh. I mean, Leon, I expected so much more with the talent they got on their disposal. They only had one really good chance and they hit the post. And that was when Chelsea had an absolute brain fart at the back, which was very funny, but very annoying that Leon just did absolutely nothing. And I mean, it's fair play to, again, I'm not a Chelsea fan, but fair play to defend out at the home of Leon, the home of champions, to get a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Because they defended for a good 63 minutes because that goal went in the 27th minute.
Yeah, and they did it without Millie Bright, who limped off. So, credit where it's due. It's a incredible defensive performance. Do I see Lyon coming back in the second leg and beating Chelsea? No, I do not. Do I see Chelsea grinding out a 0-0 or getting another, scoring another early goal and making it 1-0, a Sam Kerr, wonder goal or Wrighton or whatever, or maybe Lauren James? Yes, that's exactly what to do. And that's what Chelsea is lined up this season. It's defend, really strong defence, rely on individual brilliance of the forwards, and it's working, and they've done that. So they'll be confident to go for the next round. Maybe that'll work in our favour. Maybe they'll get too complacent like they did in the cup final. That unfortunately is where that one's gone. The other game, which I touched on earlier,
it was so equally matched, PSG and Wolfsburg.
It was
the possession was 50-50.
It was unstoppable force and movable object sort of stuff. I mean, it was the last game out of the 4, and be honest, I was absolutely knackered after all the flying and the time differentials and stuff. So I was sort of half asleep for it. And to be honest, I was not really missing anything. And then there was in the 2010 World Cup, there was a game. I think it was between Spain and I think it was Paraguay, and I think it was like a last 16 sort of game. And it was an absolute dull 0-0, apart from like a 4-minute spell in the second half where Paraguay won a penalty, duffed it. Spain went at the other end, won a penalty, scored, had to have it retaken, duffed it, and then should have had another one. It was just a bonkers moment encapsulated in a really rubbish game. And that is precisely what this game was. PSG won a penalty. I thought it was a penalty. The ref gave a penalty. But the VAR that we so wish had been our saviour only the day before decided on this particular incident to wade in and say otherwise. And there's a lot of debate over why the turnover happened. Now, I looked at the replay, and the only thing the school of thought was that it was a contact initiation. I'm seeing two knees coming together at each other, and it's a clear penalty. The only thing I could think of is on the replay, there is a bit where as the defender comes round, the ball noticeably bobbles in the air slightly as the foot moves past it. And I'm just wondering if somehow the defender got the slightest touch on the ball, as faint as it was, before the contact came in. And but it's so marginal. For me, it was a penalty.
You'd have to record it and then break it down to frame by frame.
Frame by frame. And that is just so. And I can understand, and the fact that it was actually called that overturned a penalty was, extremely frustrating. Of course, PSG were the home side. And then, of course, as these things go, 60 seconds later, back at the other end, I think it was a corner for Wolfsburg, and they get a handball call. And I think that was pretty. I mean, for me, it was a handball. It was a bit like. And
also, they got a red card. PSG got a red card
because I've been dozing off.
Media, she had a yellow in the first half, didn't she?
Yeah, so because I've been sort of half asleep dozing off in between the 0-0 and the 0-0, I missed apparently it was a call for dissent. It's a very, very sort of Luke Shawry stupid first yellow card that really put you on a tight rope.
I'll be honest with you, that ref liked to hand out them yellow cards. Handed out them yellow cards like nobody's business in that game.
Wait,
there was one or two that I thought were ridiculous. You can't even get that in the WSL. So I would say that referee was a bit card happy.
Well, she was one of her own, Rebecca Welsh. It was our referee, so she probably does get that.
Really, was she? Do you know what?
And it was Darren England. It was Darren England on VAR, so it was the English contingent in doing the VARing.
Well, that's just got a bit awkward, hasn't it? How many times do we see yellow cards given? We don't, unless it's Katie McCabe. I don't see yellow cards.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. Or it's Caitlin Ford. I mean, Caitlin Ford got a card in that game, and I was like, okay, that was a bad. That was a bad tackle from her, and I was like, you can do better.
Damn, she can do better.
I'm not having a go at Caitlin Ford because she's had an absolutely cracking couple of weeks.
Let's just say
tackle was a little bit silly.
Yeah, that has raised a few eyebrows on social media. I would say again, for just bouncing back onto the game, as you mentioned, Ford, she's adopting the Kim Little ability of being able to retain the ball despite being surrounded by 3 or 4 players. And she's got that strength and that trickery to do that, which is really exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing hopefully more of that. Maybe next week, come to the Emirates and we'll find out. But certainly in that game, the game completely flipped on that. There was a second year, it was a clear handball, very similar, I think, to the Harry Kane penalty handball we had with the Italy game. Yeah, the arm shouldn't have been there. Yes, unfortunate. VAR actually intervened. For me, it was one of these things like either you give both penalties or you don't give either of them, because there were 2 marginal calls that VAR decided to flip both of them, and they both flipped Wolfsburg's way. And this is what I mean about fine margins, is that I thought I can understand VAR giving the penalty for Wolfsburg, but the way overall the PSG penalty, for me, that didn't sit right. That felt like a flip against the minority. That didn't feel like a right reversal. But PSG got 3 strokes of luck. They got a penalty overturned, a penalty given to them, and a red card as well on top of that. Yeah. And Dominic Janssen, ex-Arsenal player, tucked the ball away, and that was the game. And we were in this weird situation where all the quarterfinals, first legs, finished 1-0, and everybody scored an away result. Apart from Arsenal.
So always the anomaly. I know we always say that word. I'm not gonna kick off my start.
We are the odd. We are the odd ones. We are.
Thank you very much.
The different ones, the Adams of the Champions League, and yes, it's a weird one that the first place teams, apart from Arsenal, got a 1-0 lead to take into their second legs back home. We've just got to step up and play a bit better, and if we do that, we could get through, and we'll end up, if we do get through, it's one of PSG or Wolfsburg. So it's
scary stuff. Do you know what I think? Do you know what? In some ways, I would really like to watch PSG because they've got some absolute. Although I know the chances are slim for us as a team overall, but it's a case of getting to see the talent they've got. And that's one thing I'm really excited about Bayern Munich. I'm excited to see. Obviously, I've seen the likes of Georgia Stanway. I was at that final with the Euros. I've seen her play over here in WSL, but it's exciting to see her play German football.
Yes, and thank you for reminding me. This is something else I actually wanted to raise.
No worries.
Part of the Munich experience. So Bayern Munich have got, in Munich, they've got Bayern Munich shops all over the city centre where you can go and you can buy Bayern Munich merchandise. One of the brilliant things, I went to one of them, there was this huge sort of digital display of Georgia Stanway in the Bayern Munich top. And next to it was advertising the game that was happening at the Allianz Arena.
Awesome.
It was awesome. I thought, this is brilliant. This is exactly what
Like,
we
have
wanted
you
to
not
see.
seen the content between Mane and Stanway yet? Have you not seen that?
Sorry, Marnway and Stan.
Mane.
Oh,
In
Sadio
the men's
Mane.
team. Yeah,
Oh,
Sadio
no,
Mane
I'm
and
afraid-
Stanway. You need to go and have a look at that, because that content is really
Good.
good. It's how they get people to turn up for the women's games.
That's
They've got some really good content. I recommend anybody checking it out. I think it was an absolute brilliant idea. You've got two English players. Well,
one English player.
Two ex-English
League
players.
yeah.
League players. That's the word. And going over to Germany for a new season, and ironically, they both went up at the same time, which was great. And both of their teams sort of fell apart. So, sort of. When I say Stanway's old team, I say sort of.
Yeah.
But Liverpool, they thought they missed Sadio Mane so much.
They missed their Mane, man.
Yeah, no, they do. But you realise how much he used to get away with, especially against
Arsenal, Tierney and elbows, and nonsense like that. But there was a caveat to that. So as great as it was when you came in and you saw there was a Champions League ball on the pedestal, the Women's Champions League ball on the pedestal, and Georgia Stanway in a Bayern Munich gear, and Arsenal versus Bayern Spain, but great. But you walk around the store and there's no Stanway tops, Zadrusil tops.
Oh, that's a little bit
It was
disappointing.
There was more stuff about players who no longer play for Bayern Munich, like Lewandowski, than players who, you got picture Lewandowski on the wall, but there was no Schürrle tops, or certainly that I could see. It was all male-orientated stuff, and for me, that was a bit of a disappointment. So that
does sound really disappointing, especially after the massive women's effort. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and the fact that the German players, yes, I know they lost in the final, but they did very well in that tournament. And
but the thing is that they've
icons.
I'm sure they've won the Euros before.
Oh, a few times.
A few times, but it's been a while.
It's been a while, and that was a bit of a shame. And I think I found about 2 or 3 shops. I think I found different shops. Did also make me wonder why on earth Arsenal. Maybe they do, I don't know. But why, if you go up to Oxford Circus, why there isn't an armory like in the centre of London? Why do you have to go to the Emirates Stadium, around the Emirates Stadium, to buy Arsenal?
The thing is, there's massive Adidas shops down the West End. I'll be honest with you. They don't need an armory down there. They've got Adidas.
Fair enough, but
there's the big mega store, and then there's 2 smaller ones, so they don't need an Arsenal shop down there. Although it'd be great for tourism, don't get me wrong.
Get the Arsenal brand in there.
It stops people coming to the ground to get stuff as well. So I understand business point of view. I get why.
But fair call. But that also highlights our armory. I do have criticisms about the armory, but at least there is a clear section where it is women's players, and the women's team are clearly there, and they are part of it. And
they're on the advertising, and I walk in there and I see them. I think I went in there the last match day. They had Freed from Desire on. Me and Lucy, we were meant to. We walked in, and I went na 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 na, and I screamed Mido, and all these people looking around like, who the hell is Mido? Do you know what I mean? But that's her song. I'm not going to give it to Eddie Nketiah. No. It is Beth Mead's song. End of story.
Eddie's got a song. It's like your defence in trouble. Nketiah's in the room.
Yeah, but before that even came out, his original song was Eddie's on fire.
No.
It's got the same syllables as Mido. No. So it's just, it's Beth Mead's song. Can't wait to have her back.
Speaking of songs, is it Feet Don't Fail Me Now, the song they play at the WSL coverage, and also the Euros. Every time I hear that on the radio or on the when I'm in the hotel and they play it on the speakers, I just think it's the theme for the WSL. I don't see it. That's what I think of it now. It's like the match of the day thing. Whenever I hear that song,
100%.
It's like 100%. It's the WSL theme. It's the either theme. That's how I see that song now. So it's kind of
definitely. Actually, I was having an online debate today. I don't know if you saw it on my socials, but I was having a conversation with a Man United fan. Maisie is a sensible Man United fan. You can actually have a conversation with her. Yes. Maisie
Blimey.
is lovely.
She is a unicorn. She's a rarely spotted man.
She's absolutely brilliant. She does her podcast is really good. I really enjoy it. So, but she's at that point where she's going to games, and Man United are completely promoting Sweet Caroline. Mike, the question I put to you is, should it stay with international football, or should it come through to the WSL?
Well, this is the problem, because Sweet Caroline's been used by Arsenal before it became a thing. So I remember going to, and this, it'll stick with me, is when I went to the Vittoria game at home and Pepe got the 2 late free kicks. We won it 3-2. It was euphoric. It was Emery's last win as an Arsenal manager. And they played Sweet Caroline at the end, and I was all thrilled for it. And it's sort of become... And it became an international song because of the men's team, because celebrating the fact that they bottled the European final, unlike the women's team. And so the women's team naturally inherited that song. But I think it's been, Arsenal men have used it, and we sung it at the Conti Cup final, I think, as well.
Yeah,
so,
no, that was at the end though. But like,
for me,
this is a case when goals go in. I know we sing it, we go no for a few seconds, like less than 30 seconds, and then we go back to what we were singing in the North Bank. But
that is interesting. But we have Free for Desire, but that feels like it's always it's because it was Mido's song. It does feel, although it does feel like every time we score a goal at Meadow Park, we're chanting, we're celebrating Beth Mead. So Lord knows what it's doing for her ego when she's hearing I chanted every single time we score a goal.
No, exactly. But the thing is, her chant comes out straight after, as soon as we've done that, like 20 seconds or so.
But we used to have a different song. We used to have, I think it was by I can't remember his name now. It was like Tom Hank or something. It was that sort of mocking jury tone, which is but it's obviously because of the Euros, they replaced it with the song we have now, Free from Desire. But it's it's the you're having a laugh, da 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 da. That song. That used to be our goal celebration song at Meadow Park. And obviously now it's Free from Desire. I like the fact that they are taking aspects of the success of Euro 2022 into the home stadiums. Mm-hmm. But Sweet Caroline for me is a finale song. It's not a goal celebration song. Yeah. And there was, when we in the Euro, Free from Desire was one of the songs, but there was another song that used to play as well. Because I think Free from Desire didn't play when we scored. It was another song. I don't know what the name is, but it's a song that gets played all the time on the radio and stuff. So there are songs out there. I just think, Sweet Caroline, I think, is probably for, when you actually win a trophy. So Man United fans, if that happens, if Man United make that choice, then they may never hear Sweet Caroline ever again. But that's down to that's up to the side.
I have to laugh at you there, because it's just a case of she's sick of hearing it. They also sing for 90 minutes, like we do, I'm told. In their season ticket stand. Yeah. I can't confirm this. I've never been Man United away up to Lee Sports Village. Never been there. I know it's really difficult to get there unless you drive. I don't drive, so I haven't attempted. But coming to the end of the show, so we better get this North London derby
out of the way. Yes.
I mean, we need the frustration from the Champions League. Can we get that bounce back energy into this game? Bearing in mind all the change that Tottenham's gone through. We've got Vicky Jepson now in charge after the dismissal of Rhiannon Skinner. They've had their first win since October against Leicester City, which wasn't that hard after 9 games on the bounce of losing.
Yes.
Will they be? Another question is, will they be without the likes of Manoa Iwabuchi because she's out on loan from us?
So
I'm not 100% on the rules of that, so I don't want to say that. But it's a question that's in the back of my head. Will she play? I'll be honest with you, Mana doesn't look very happy over there. She doesn't like being white.
I feel so sorry for Mana. She's had like the worst luck of the worst luck of the worst. Like, it's a signing that has been. So with the Mana thing, she's a very talented player. She's just come to the wrong club at the wrong time, and now she's being put on she's now in the departure lounge that we call Tottenham Hotspur, and her rest of her contract will be played out there, and then she'll go. So I completely sympathise with the idea that, yes, firstly, you're not playing for Arsenal. Now you're no longer at Arsenal, and worst of all, you're at Spurs. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. But so I thought I had the utmost sympathy for Mana, and I think she's probably just now counting down the weeks until the WSL is over. There's only about 8 games left. Just hang in there, Mana. You'll be free soon, and you'll be at a club that does actually love you. So you'll be
going on
international
duty.
Yeah.
She's the only time I've seen her happy is in her modelling the New Japan kit from Adidas.
Oh yes, there's been quite a few
She
of
looks
those.
so happy, and I'm like, oh, there's my Mana. I mean, even Christina Blackstenius looked absolutely thrilled with her new kit, and I have to
It was stunner Blackstenius.
I'm actually going to shout out Adidas. Football is our nature. What a theme! What a set of shirts! I'm actually considering buying the German shirt. It looks that good. I've already made a decision. I'm having the Spain shirt, but the Germany shirt is just as nice. But there's also the aspect of the fact that I'm English.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm in two minds, but it's a pretty shirt. It is a pretty shirt.
That is really good. I mean, we'll go into the derby obviously in a bit, but to shout it with obviously shirts. If you listen back to the accounts of the likes of, I see, Juliana Scott's, but the likes of Alex Scott, Rachel Yankee, Kelly Smith, they'll tell you in the olden days, their kit was men's kit. It wasn't women's kit. It was kits that was ill-fitting. It was loose on them. It was second-hand. It was all that nonsense
you can look
stuff.
back from the photographs and the Arsenal history. Like, you can see it. It looked terrible.
Yeah.
Like, these slender, I don't want to say skinny, but slender, muscular women in these big, massive, oversized. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. As a female, I love oversized clothes. Most females do. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. But to be playing a sport in that, no, wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't want to run down the street in baggy trousers. You know, there's a reason why when you're an athlete, there's a reason why an athlete you wear more form-fitting clothing because it improves performance.
Yeah, but I think is well. I think it didn't help at the time as our kit makers. That was the style.
Yeah.
If you look back over the retro kits, that was the style.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the girls, but it's changed since then.
Absolutely, and now they get their
much
own
better fits. I mean, even as a female fan, the fits are so much better. I don't have to wear men's. I can have a women's size shirt, and it fits where it's supposed to.
So
rather than these big sleeves, because I'm little. I'm a little person, and when I used to get the men's shirts, I had sleeves down past my elbows. Like, it's not cool. So I know their pain as a little person. I mean, I'm the same height as Kimmy Little. Do you know what I mean? Like, she'll know my pain. Kittle, if you're listening, I'm with you on that. When the football shirts are too big. But we're going to go back to Tottenham.
Yeah, do.
I don't know if you caught Jonas's interview earlier. Basically, he's saying Tottenham squad has evolved since the 4-0 defeat at the Emirates, which was a cracking day when we were all sitting together.
It was a very funny day.
Yeah, it was. It was really, really good. Beth England has scored 4 in the last 5. But however, we've played against world-class number 9s this season. Bunny Shaw, Sam Kerr. I am going to put Sam Kerr's name in there. Leah Schuler.
Yeah, Schuler. Yeah.
We know that the biggest one player is not in the women's game. The one player is not the biggest threat. But how do you think we will contain Beth England? Because she lacks a goal against us.
Yes.
For Chelsea, off that bench, she was that game changer. But she's likely to be a starter this time round.
It's going to be interesting. So Chelsea actually have already been to Spurs this season, and Beth England did score in that game as well. And it was actually a very well taken goal. Spurs finally now have a quality. I'm not going to say world class because I think she level has dropped slightly. At one point, she was the best striker in the WSL, but because she has been playing, her level dropped a bit. But she's definitely the best player Spurs have signed in quite some time, which is quite a coup for her. Alex.
Apart from Manu Iwabuchi, come on.
Apart from Manu Iwabuchi,
don't disregard Manu or Victoria.
Okay, Beth is going to be the best player they've signed that will definitely, we know, be playing at the weekend. Alex Morgan doesn't count because she would come back from maternity leave, and the only thing she did was spoon a penalty in a penalty shootout against Arsenal. But Beth England, yes, is an absolute masterstroke of a signing for them because goals is exactly what we didn't have, and she will give them that. And it will all be down to how the likes of Haffert and Leah manage her. You talk about the world-class forwards who've already played. Well, Sam Kerr scored against us, crucially, and Leah Schuler scored against us the other day, and both goals affected we didn't win those games in when they scored. So it's all about how we can handle someone like her, and she'll be. This is the sort of occasion she relishes. I mean, I remember the Conti Cup final where she basically won the game on her own for Chelsea, very annoyingly. And she'll be wanting to do the same again.
Because it's Arsenal.
Well, because Arsenal, because it's her Chelsea sort of roots. She played for Chelsea. She knows what it means to score against Arsenal, and she'll want to do that. And if she did that for Chelsea, she'll be a hero. So I wouldn't be surprised. I actually would be surprised if she scored. Honestly, just
Thing
the
is,
way.
I was looking at the table earlier, and if we take these 3 points, that
Yes.
takes us up to second place.
Well, yeah.
And Jonas
Yep.
still thinks the title race is on.
Well,
And it's far from over. Now that Brighton's been rescheduled for the 10th of May, it's far from over.
Man City have got to go to Chelsea this weekend as well. Sorry, Chelsea got to go to Man City. Chelsea.
I hope both of them drop points.
Yeah, I hope both lose. That'd be nice.
Well, when I say that, I'm happy with a draw. That's the best I can get out of it. So, but that is going to be a juicy game. I mean, they play on Sunday at 20-1. So I will be watching that from the comfort of my own home.
I think Manchester United also host West Ham as well. Just after us. So if West Ham could do a favour, that'd be really nice. Although
West Ham play tomorrow at 5:30 against Man United.
Yes, it's after
on
our
Sunday.
game.
On Sunday, it's Man City, Chelsea,
Yeah.
Villa, Leicester, and then Reading and Brighton.
Yeah. So again, this could be one of those weekends where the entire game, the league flips. I think this is going to be a really good game for us. I was there at the Hive last season, one of the games which obviously cost us the league. We got out of jail thanks to a Viv header late on.
Do you know what? That was my first North London derby I ever watched, and we almost lost. I'm kind of scared if we don't win. I'm not allowed to watch them anymore.
Did you watch?
I'll be honest with you.
Was it on TV or was it in the stand?
I was watching it from home at the time.
It was.
So that was sort of my first few months watching everything because of the men's, and it was just like, I need some sanctuary from this.
It was a poor. Well, the pitch was poor, and the game was poor, and Spurs scrambled a goal into the lead, and I mean, we talk about refereeing. I mean, the referee for the game there's a call that we still sort of laugh and get frustrated about when Nob scored a goal and then the ref blew the whistle to give a free kick for us. It was a very strange decision and a very strange game. But Arsenal will be hoping they can actually win. They'd won their previous 2 derbies, albeit at the Tottenham Hotspur ground, which sadly we're not playing in, and quite frankly on a weekend which is devoted to women's football and there's no men's stuff happening in.
Exactly, that would have been absolutely bloody brilliant.
But they've chosen not to. I don't know.
I don't mean to be funny, but there's a song where the Arsenal invaded the stands. We would invade the stands on a Saturday, but it's a question of will the idiots come out? That's my only fear of that.
I do wonder if they're doing this because it sounds a bit cynical, but maybe they think they've got a better chance of winning if they play us at a stadium like Brisbane Road than at, let's say, a Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Arsenal are more used to playing on a high quality sort of pitch, on a bigger pitch, and they maybe think if we take them to Brisbane Road, we've got a better chance of getting something out of them. Certainly it worked last season with the Hive, but it is a shame. And I think for me, it's the same reason why Chelsea often, when we play Chelsea away, we don't play them at Stamford Bridge. We play them at Kings Meadow. They're trying to have as many competitive advantages.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do think that is a bit unfair on the fans, though. I will say that, but do you know what? I don't really care because it's just from a mutual point of view, that's not fair.
Yeah, and it's also worse because there's engineering works on the central line, so it's going to be even harder to actually get to Brisbane Road than normal. But it should be a really good game. Atmosphere anyway, because the away ticket allocation is sold out, so we'll be singing it to the rafters.
Is it over 200 tickets sold?
Something like that, yeah.
Because I know with them, they're putting everybody in one stand. It's just use the whole ground. The Arsenal fans will come. Get our tickets. We will turn up.
We'll see. It will be interesting to compare the home. I'm not saying that Spurs have no fans for the women's team.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to compare the home and away support because obviously Spurs is a growing audience, so to say, with the women's team because they haven't been a big. They only just now come up to WSL, whereas Arsenal's more established. Oh dear! So it'd be interesting to see how the two compare. So we've got that to look forward to obviously tomorrow, and it's a massive if we can get a win. And I think we can overturn the disappointment, providing obviously everyone's come back from Germany one piece and there aren't any injury issues.
I've just remembered there's one more piece of news that I forgot to mention.
Oh yes.
Manu's with us for another year. Manu Zimmelsberger is with us for another year.
Absolutely.
What was the feeling like over in Germany? I do apologise. I completely forgot.
It was good.
Thinking, oh my god, I've forgotten. Obviously, this news just came up before the game.
Yeah, it was out of nowhere.
What was the reaction with the fans that were away? Was it?
It was positive. I mean, we talk about the redemption arc of Xhaka. And I'm not saying that it's that Manu has reached that kind of level of zero to hero, but
she hasn't been that bad.
No, but we should. I make it absolutely clear that for the first season and a half, she was a liability. And you can watch through the games, and there are errors, there are positional errors, there are hand errors, there are clear out errors. There were some really, and there's moments with the high ball, and she's caught under crosses, and she had not settled into the Arsenal sort of group. And she's admitted as much. She said it in interviews, and she said it, how much, it's been tough. But since Jonas, I think since the tail end of Joe's career, and since Jonas has come in, she's got better and she's got better and she's got better, and she's now a really good goalkeeper for us. And they are hard to come by. And I think it's got to. If the proof is, if Manu had left after, I'd say, 2 seasons at Arsenal, people would have said, yeah, thank you very much. But now we don't want her to go, even though we've got about 10,000 goalkeepers.
The thing is, she's developed so much. She even said it herself in her interview.
Unreal.
And it's just, I wish I'd seen her what she was like when she first arrived. But it's also a case of now who leaves in the summer. Would it be Marquise?
Just on your first one.
It won't be Sabrina.
No, it won't be Sabrina. So on your first one, if you want to see what she was like, go onto YouTube and search for highlights of the opening game of the 2019-20 season when Arsenal were home to West Ham. So BT Sports will have the highlights on there, and watch that game through, and you'll sort of see what I mean with Manu. Certainly, if she's staying for another year, and Sabrina will stay, it does put, you're right, it does put Marquise's position into question.
We've hardly seen her.
Yeah, I think Stenson will go. I was hearing talks that we had a 4th keeper somewhere else. I don't know where, but
okay.
I don't. Again, you lose track.
I think that might have been Matt Adam.
Yeah, I don't know.
He would know the name.
Yeah, so certainly, it's interesting with Marquise. So, are we going to go into another double season with 3 goalkeepers? I mean,
do we really need 3 goalkeepers?
I mean,
like Manu. Don't get me wrong, Manu's been fantastic, but she needs a bit of a challenge. She needs someone that's going to come in and challenge her, and I think Sabrina's going to be the one to do that.
From what we said, I mean, Sabrina has yet to concede a goal in an Arsenal shirt, which is a really unique stat to have. Even though she only played about 3 games.
It's 3 games and no goals in.
And 2 of those were Villa and Man City, who are decent size. Just ask Man City; they're not in the FA Cup anymore. I'm
going to call a Brighton Villa final. Calling it now. You heard it here first for that.
Yeah,
I would love Villa to have some silverware this season. Not a Villa fan, but the way they've been playing this season and their smart buy-in, I just want Jordan Nobbs to have some silverware.
Nobbs and Rachel Daly as well. Can't forget Rachel Daly and Anna Patton. She gets there. She can bring the FA Cup home for Arsenal for
and her. Then Jordan needs to persuade her to come back down south because I'd love her. I'd love her. I'd love her striker. All 3 of them need to come back down.
But at the same time, obviously, as a chap from the southeast, I wouldn't mind seeing Brighton win the trophy either. For me, it was because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Brighton naturally because they are one of the nearer sides to me in terms of South Premier League. So I mean, and it's one of those things like I could watch it as a neutral and be happy with the result. Whereas if Man United got there, I'm going to want Man United to lose. If Chelsea got there, I want Chelsea to lose. And if they both got there, I'm not going to say my biases.
That's all right. But can we just award the trophy to Arsenal? Be done with it. Forfeit it, give it to Arsenal. Anyway. But yes, as we come to the end of our show, there is 10 minutes at the Liverpool-Everton game. It's 1-1. Who's going to? I'm going to ask you for your Premier League, your Women's Super League predictions for the weekend. Everton, Liverpool, 10 minutes left. They're at 1-1. What's the full-time score going to be?
1-1. I think it's going to stay as it is.
Okay. Tottenham away at home to Arsenal. What's the score going to be tomorrow?
3-1 to Arsenal, but Beth England will score for Spurs.
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1 as well. I agree with that. Man United at home to West Ham in Leeds.
Yeah, it's going to be 2-0 Man United.
Yeah, Man City, Chelsea. I'm going to go for 1-1 draw. Man City are at home. Bear that in mind.
This is the weird thing. So, Man City, until last season, had never lost at home to Chelsea. But then they went in there with all their players injured and they lost 4-0 at home to Chelsea. It's one of the reasons why Chelsea won the league. So I don't know on this
Do you
one.
know
And
what? I don't think if Millie Bright is injured, they're not going to cope with Chloe Kelly, Lauren Hemp, and Bunny Shaw. They're not going to cope.
I want Man City. I just don't trust Gareth Taylor, so I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea. I just don't trust Gareth, and it pains me because I want to be a draw. But I think also at the same time, if Chelsea did win it, it would do us a favour because it would get us 3 points on Man City and allow us to leapfrog them. So it is the lesser for me. If one team has to win, it's the lesser of two evils. And I just think Chelsea's experience and the fact they've got Sam Kerr and Gio Wright who can score goals out of nowhere, as we saw.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a 2-1 Chelsea.
Okay. Next, our next fixture is Aston Villa, Leicester City. I'm going to go for a Rachel Daly hat trick.
Ooh,
3-0.
I'll go one better and say 4-0.
Ooh.
The problem with Leicester is that they are just there to be relegated. They are. I know.
Yeah,
I thought. Yeah, are going
they're
down.
the ones who are going to get relegated this season. I'm sorry. It's sad to see. Don't get me wrong.
It's sad to see, but they are falling faster than the stock market in 1929. It's really little financial in joke there for those listening and watching. It's really sad because I wanted Leicester City to come up and do. Or they came up and I wanted them to stay around and do so well, but unfortunately they are the reason that Reading and Tottenham are going to stay up this season. It's just really sad.
You know what's strange? Reading is my team for that. It's the one team that's not backed by a Premier League club. It's they managed to stay up, but I just enjoy having them around. I don't know why.
Enjoy what?
Having Reading around.
Oh yeah, as a team, it's nice.
As a team in general. Yeah.
I like Reading. It's the plucky underdog, It's the one. It's them against the world, and and occasionally they get a scalp. Thankfully, in this season, not against us. So yeah, long may that continue. And it's with Birmingham obviously going down, and quite frankly, I've never been happier to see a WSL side relegated. With Birmingham, I fear Leicester's time is short, and it's a shame because the club have done everything right. They've used the King Power, they've invested in the side. They've just it just hasn't worked. So.
And final game of the weekend: Reading v Brighton.
Well, I've stated my allegiances on this one. So
I think I have to be fair, but
I think we are going to disagree on this one. So I'm going to go 2-1 Brighton.
Ooh, interesting. Because the thing is, they're both underdogs in the season, so it's going to be interesting. But I just fancy a draw. I don't know why. Something's telling me a draw.
No, but I could definitely understand a draw. But given that I, do have one eye on Brighton, purely from a local perspective, I thought I'll back them for the win. Help keeping the league. I mean,
nice.
they're on their I don't know, because they've obviously sacked their manager again. I don't know if they're on if they've hired a third manager, if they're on their caretaker at the moment.
I think it's a caretaker at the moment. I'd have to have a look at it. I'm not 100%.
So that'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But plenty to enjoy. So if you're missing club football and your team's on international duty, have a look and see what the women's do.
Hello, the teams are never all completely out on international duty. We've got the academy games, we've got the women's games.
Yep.
It's only a third of the club that's really on international duty. Come on.
Yeah, plenty.
I've lost my weekend. I've got no reason to live anymore. Come and watch the women.
Exactly.
Come and watch your academy games. And the women's games are £8 to £12 a ticket. £35 if you want to sit in club level at the Emirates. £8 to go to Meadow Park. Or even better, you can go to an academy game at Meadow Park and watch it for free.
And if you can't get a ticket, because obviously in Meadow Park, obviously the tickets are often sold out. It's on Sky, it's on the BBC, or just download the FA Player app, and you can watch most of the games for free on your phone or tablet device or whatever. So there is plenty of football, club football. Just because it's not your usual men wearing the shirt doesn't make it any less entertaining. And thoroughly recommend tuning in.
100%. That is all from us tonight. It was a very, very long podcast, but I have loved every single moment of it. Adam, thank you for joining me again tonight. There was so much to talk about. Again, thank you to everybody who's taking your time out your day to tune in wherever you are in the world. Thank you for subscribing, and we will be back on Tuesday with a brand new podcast. Up the Arsenal.